the day of my divorce. It was the first time I got to see my children, my two daughters. I had mixed feelings of going and seeing them because it had to be under supervision at my family member's house. And I told him, I'm like, here's what's going to happen. And it can go one way or the other. And I told him he needed to stay out in the car because I said, they will not welcome you. And he's like, no problem. And sure enough, it was exactly what I prepared him for. And I think that was the wake up call of what I was really in. He had no idea.
The family came out and got me out of the car. Said, you're just as much involved. Get on in here. I'm like,
he had no idea. Like I kept thinking I was converting my husband, or at the time, my boyfriend, but thinking I was converting him, I would tell him, oh, there's just so much love. And yeah, that's not what he was introduced to.
Yeah.
Not at all.
I kept quiet, and I kept quiet on the couch, and I can just remember my fingernails digging into my hand. I was just like, the more it went on, the more it got. When we got back to the hotel, I showed him my hand. There was these marks from my nails where they dug into my skin and almost started bleeding. I was like, I was so upset with the way they were treating her, what they were saying. And they, asked me, how do you play it? And why are you involved? I'm like, well, I love her and I'm taking care of the kids too. I'm giving them an education. And they're like, they don't need education. They just need the love of God. And that's we'd rather them do that than get any kind of schooling. And I didn't understand that statement. I'm like, why can't you have both? I grew up with both. I mean, I went to a Church of God and I went to high school and, public school and I went to college. And
that was one thing they told me is I wasn't even allowed to talk to him because he wasn't even, they called him a Christian. He's not even a Christian. He's like, I'm not a Christian. So what they meant was he's not message.
Right. And didn't that make you just want to join?
Oh yeah, yes. Yeah, it was a good recruiting poster,
It's really unbelievable. It's like they twist the salvation so much that they've taken it completely away from what Jesus did on the cross in the Bible, right? Salvation only comes if you accept the message, and then there's this weird thing where if you were part of the message and you accepted this fake salvation with this fake Jesus, if you ever leave that, then the God is not strong enough to bring you back. Like you mentioned the 90 and 9 passage, and I grew up with those songs. We actually sang it in message churches. There were 90 and 9, but he left the fold to find the one little lost lamb.
That's the one I was trying to tell you.
Exactly.
What happens
I knew it was.
Helped a lot.
Yeah, exactly. They'll sing the song, but then actions speak louder than words, right? When it comes to reality, when they have the chance to go after the one lost sheep. Well, William Branham said the story himself. You break the sheep's leg so it doesn't leave the fold, so you don't have to go after it. That was his idea of salvation. I'm looking at Michael's face. That was an actual doctrine in this thing. You break the sheep's leg.
I think for Michael, the biggest one, because again, as we've been trying to share, I was trying to convert him. He was trying to convert me, or at least help me to come out, if nothing else. He didn't try to change me, though. I really need that to come across. Yeah, he never tried to change me.
I think convert's a strong word. I let you do what you wanted to do, but, I also wanted you to find some kind of reason within it all, too, to keep it all in perspective, right?
But I think the hardcore no for him is when I had him listen to one of the messages, and it was his life story. And on the life story, William Branham was saying, yeah, I'll let you tell it.
Well, we went for a ride in my truck, and it's a funny story before it. We get in, and I turn the key on, and here comes the heavy metal on my radio, and she looks over at me and goes, "You're still listening to that?" And I grew up with it. I like this music. I'm sorry.
I listen to it now, guys.
I'm sorry. I know she gets embarrassed when I say that, but it's so funny. It is so cute, but it just plays into our dynamic. And then I'm like, okay, I'm sorry. I'll take it off. She's like, well, let's listen to this. And she puts on the life story. And I don't know, a few minutes into it, I hear, a woman ain't worth a clean bullet to kill her with. And I said, shut it off. Shut it off. I've heard enough. That does it to me. I believe, women should have just as much as men, and I'm not, that doesn't even play with me. It doesn't resonate with me whatsoever. I don't understand it, but now I understand the dynamic of how the
way I was treated.
A woman is respected and treated in this religion. And I was like, nope, I'm out. Sorry. That was your 4.5 minutes. I have committed more of my life than I ever cared to admit. So,
speaking of the heavy metal, the weak God of the message, the people who are in the message feel that if they hear this, they're going to hell just for listening to it. And I keep on my desk, I keep this doll, the Kiss doll, so that this scares away message people. So I have no fear. I have this little Kiss doll.
I was like, well, what about Christian heavy metal? Same thing. It's got to be. I'm like, I don't get it. I mean, this is a good message. It reaches people on a level that they're willing to listen. Kids. I listened to some Christian heavy metal. I loved it. I mean, it was great music. But it was a hard no. All right, baby, I'll respect you while you're in the car. So,
I mean, we learned our give and take with each other, so, but I didn't even realize I was so judgy. I look back, I have friends that they see that I'm out and they're like, do you remember when you judged me? Oh, I'm like, oh, that happened.
It's really unbelievable because when I was in the message, I was like that too. And I'm embarrassed. The people that I knew when I was in the message, I'm embarrassed to go around them because I was a judgmental freak. But having studied the Bible after leaving and understanding, they twisted the context of so many things to turn them into, like, there's this righteous indignation where they believe that if they can insult you, they're bringing their self higher into heaven. And it makes no sense. All of the passages about judging are not to insult other people, but to discern for yourself, to think for yourself, to examine for yourself. Judge this thing, right? Judge and make some sense of this thing because you may be going down the wrong path. It's that type of judgment. But instead, it's this, let's insult you. If you're listening to something we don't allow as our rules, let's insult you because that's going to make you go to heaven, buddy.
So ridiculous now, but I thought I was helping him, So it's amazing how far we've grown. That's why I say we're in a good place, because I'm enjoying life for the first time. I like to tell him, I feel like I'm like, it's this, I hate to use the word 2-year-old, but 2-year-olds, they're getting to know, they're getting to know and explore things. And I feel like for the first time I can look and see people for who they are instead of judging them for who they are, and love them for their differences. And I love that. I love that freedom.
Mm-hmm.